Hey guys, welcome back to No Content. My name's Ryan. That's Pixel over there. We have no topics for today, dude. we
Hey, I mean, you know what? That's the title of our podcast. It's no
yeah,
content,
I
right?
know. You, yeah, I guess that's true, man. How you been? How's your week been, man?
It's been pretty slow. Not much has been going on, so I've just been working, just been chilling. I've been watching a few animes again,
What?
like picking that
Okay.
back up.
What?
So
I didn't know you even watched anime in the first place, to be honest.
it's because I haven't done it in forever.
Oh, okay. What are you watching then?
I've been watching the new episodes of One Punch Man
Okay.
and finally catching up on, or actually starting, Attack on Titan.
Okay. So here's the thing. I don't watch anime at all, but
Okay,
I like reading manga because I feel like I can consume it faster.
that is true. Yeah.
And I like comics more because you get more of like the in-depth vibe of the character's thoughts in manga,
Oh,
where I
sure.
feel
Yeah.
like in like like anime you can't really like get that same vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of these animes start off as manga, and that was like the original format. Like that was
Yeah.
how it was originally intended to be consumed.
Yeah.
And like there's all these wonderful stories, and they're created for that format.
Yeah.
So you definitely lose something when it comes to anime.
But
And in some cases they also like milk the hell out of these things.
yeah. Oh yeah. So that was another thing is like I don't like filler.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
so
I
much
don't
filler
like
in anime.
I don't like that at all. So for me it kind of sucks. But then the problem is like filler seems to be so like integral with anime now, right? Like if I skip over the filler, they'll make references to the filler episodes and then I don't
Yeah,
understand what's going on. You know what I mean? So then I'm
yeah.
like missing out. But okay, so you said you were watching One Punch Man
Hmm.
and Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Okay, so Attack on Titan I know because it's like pretty popular.
Hmm.
I do read the manga. I do keep up with that. One Punch Man, I have no idea what's about. Is that the bald-headed kid?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
bald guy.
Okay.
Um, So basically, he's like a superhero, and like he's just so incredibly powerful that he's basically invincible, and that he defeats any enemy with a single punch.
Okay.
And so that's pretty cool. It's like
I heard it's funny, and I
it
heard I heard
is.
it's pretty funny. And us Japanese people aren't known for comedy, so it's like one of those things where it's like, like okay, props to you, Japan. Shout outs to
Yeah,
you. We're
yeah.
just known for like mecha
Well,
robots and stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like well done. You finally put out a funny anime. No, I'm kidding.
No,
Like
no, true, kind of true, kind of true, kind of true. Um,
it's it's a really fun anime. It's just
but
like it doesn't take itself too seriously.
okay, fair. But here's my point. How is the intro song for One Punch Man? Because for me, the intro song to an anime has to be as engaging as the show
Mm,
itself. That's pretty high on my list, to be honest.
true.
Like I almost okay here. Okay, first of all, let's get these questions out of the way before we dive deeper. One, subbed or dubbed?
Subbed.
Okay. Two, do you skip the anime intro every time? Are you a 50-50 guy, or do you listen to the whole thing every time?
I skipped the intro.
What? Okay, I never
Okay.
skip the intro. It sets the stage for what I'm about to consume.
Okay, so like, here's the thing. There are some anime that I don't skip the intro, and that's like very rare for me because
Hmm.
a lot of intros actually don't have very good songs.
Are you
And
kidding
like
me? Compared to American TV, that's
compared
not
to
true at
American
all.
TV, absolutely. Like, Japanese anime, they license some really awesome like J-rock and J-pop and stuff
Yeah.
like Naruto is like the best soundtrack out of like any anime that I know.
Hmm.
And that's stuff that I will not skip. But for like One Punch Man, I'll skip it because I think it's actually kind of forgettable.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, when I'm about to see like a bunch of like mech robots kill each other, in Evangelion, I just really want to be psyched by that like really poppy Japanese intro that has nothing to do with the actual anime itself, which I still don't
I
understand how it's not iconic.
Man,
Uh,
I just want to get to the meat of the story. Just like get me in there already. I don't need to watch a 90-second intro sequence. Like,
Are
I'm
you
good.
kidding? No, that's not the point, Pixel. The point is it's like that's like saying like going to like a 6-course meal and then just being like just bring on the main course. It's an event. It should be treated as such. At least for me, that's how I do it because I don't watch much anime, to be honest.
No, man. Just like put it all in a blender and give it to me in a cup.
Wow. All right, that's how it'd be like, I guess. So basically, your week has just been playing anime or watching anime and venging out.
Past few days, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's not too bad of a weekend, to be honest. By the way, guys, we're recording this on Monday for anyone who didn't know. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, man, we don't have like any topics, so I feel like we just gotta kind of think of like whatever we want to on the fly, which I'm
Yeah, we'll
perfectly
just,
fine with. But I think this is bringing it back to like the old school episodes or whatever.
Sure.
I will. Okay, so I will ask this: do you watch Black Mirror?
I've seen like a couple episodes.
Okay, so Black Mirror season 5, I think, comes out Wednesday night. I'm definitely gonna be just like watching it. I think it comes out like Wednesday afternoon. I don't even know, but that's like the show I'm like really looking forward to right now.
Oh yeah. What do you like about it?
So I really like. So here's the thing: my type of movie is a movie that like either has a very unique storyline or kind of like makes you think about like not your existence per se, but makes you
Mhm.
have a different perspective on life. So like a lot of
Mhm.
movies that like are like based on a true story, and it's like I like a lot of military movies because like I've never been in the military. I've never been in that time period where like war was an actual threat, right? Like World War II, let's say, or something like that. So I like time period movies a lot, right? Because it puts me into like a different perspective of human
Mhm.
history. But like one of my favorite movies of all time, for example, would be like Inception. I rank that movie like really high up there. It's like original
Okay.
story. Um, it doesn't give away anything in the trailer. The movie
Mhm.
itself doesn't really give much besides the fact that it's like this is like one person's story. Like how many people know about Inception? Like how was it invented? Like we don't know, but just go with it. Like this is their
Sure.
story. You're just along for the ride. You don't need to know anything about the lore, what day and age this is, all this type of stuff. And you just kind of go with it. And that's kind of how I feel with Black Mirror. At least like the earlier seasons, they used to be like different. The episodes used to be longer. Like there would be like 90-minute episodes, and a season would be like 3 episodes. Now it's like totally changed, and they're like Netflix exclusive. So now they're
Hmm.
like 7 to 8 episodes, and some of them are really short and stuff like that. So they're definitely like a hit or miss on some of the episodes. Last season I didn't really enjoy, but
Mhm.
and I think they're like kind of going with like they're starting to repeat themes. So the general gist of the show, for anyone who doesn't know, is it's in the future, and the episodes may or may not be linked together in the same time period or whatever. But it's just like different random pieces of technology and future tech that's affecting like society as a whole.
Mhm.
And I always really liked that concept, but I'm kind of concerned because like the last couple of seasons, they've kind of like repeated like they've reused tech and stuff like that and kind of like thrown it back to earlier seasons, which I don't really like, even though there's no real linkage, right? Like
Right.
there's this technology that they use that's mentioned since season 1 called cookies, where it's literally just like a carbon copy of your brain put into an artificial intelligence. So
Okay.
think of like a really really advanced, think of like they take your conscience and put it into an AI and then put that AI into like an Alexa or a Siri, right? Or Google
Okay.
Home.
Yeah.
And now that like Google Home knows exactly what you want when you want it because it's literally you. So
Hmm.
then it brings into the concept like, well, is this a person? Does it have a soul? You know what I mean? Like, is this
Right.
abusing them? Because you're literally like imprisoning them. They're literally a carbon copy of you, at least like, in code, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like some of the episodes this season, like they do these teaser trailers. Some of the episodes are kind of like, oh, okay, this one's clearly about cookies. You know what I mean? Like this one's
Mhm.
clearly about that AI again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it sounds like they're running out of ideas and they're just kind of rehashing old things and trying to tweak it a little bit, but they're kind of like wearing thin.
yeah. So I'm excited for it. I'm definitely gonna binge watch it, but I don't know, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really
it's
wearing thin on me.
it's like it's one of those shows where you feel like you've covered everything that you want to cover, and I think it's a good time to just end the show on a high note.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of shows don't know when to actually do that. They get
True,
to the point
true.
where they just kind of drag it out and just kind of keep on hoping that they just get viewers, but they just kind of trickle away.
Yeah.
So if this is the case, it might be a good idea for Black Mirror to say, like, you know what, I'm good.
See,
Yeah, I'm ending on a high note.
yeah, the thing is too that I don't get about it is it's not like traditional American TV shows where it's like the same characters, the same cast. Like each episode can be watched like individually on its own, almost like a short film. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
you would think that because of that, the writers would literally have like freedom to do anything.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But like
true.
for example, like last season or I think a couple seasons ago, I can't really remember. It's all like blending together, but there was an episode where these people go on a date or these people go to like a futuristic society where they go on a date and this thing's supposed to match them with like your perfect match. It's supposed to be like
Mhm.
99.7% correct. And they get matched and all this stuff happens and at the end of it it zooms out and it's like actually it's just in their phone and it's just an advanced feature of Tinder and these
Huh.
two people chose each other 99.7% of the time and they're actually meeting in a bar in like present
Mhm.
day, right?
Mhm.
And so it's like, oh wow. And then there's like an episode this time around and it looks like what it's about is like once again some type of app, looks kind of like a futuristic Uber, and like the Uber driver goes crazy and like everyone's on their
Mhm.
phone and like taking pictures and recording and doesn't really care and they're
Yeah.
like kind of locked in their phone. Like
Yeah.
it's like why are we doing this again? You know what I mean?
It's kind of futuristic, but still has like modern sort of connections, like to
Right,
Tinder and Uber and things like that.
right.
I
But
think they have a lot of room to expand. Like they're doing a sci-fi show. Like if you're
I
doing
know.
sci-fi and futuristic stuff, like you have an open canvas. You
Yeah,
can literally pick anything that you want because it's futuristic. You can just say like, "Hey, this is what it's like in the future," and
right.
you can write about almost anything. And I'm surprised that they're reusing stuff.
It definitely feels like that. And then like there's another episode they teased, so it's not a spoiler. Like I don't know anything about it, but it's starring Miley Cyrus, which actually she looks like she's gonna be a pretty good role in this. But in the episode, what it looks like is that she's some type of like pop singer who's like super happy and like bubbly and cheerful, and they've created like
Mhm.
a cookie version of her to make like a Furby that will be
Huh.
like your
Okay.
best friend. And then for some reason, like halfway through the teaser trailer, they like hack the Furby or like code it or something and it becomes like its own personality in a robot.
I see what you mean
Y-
about like the cookies showing
and
up
there's the
over and
cook
over
and there's
again.
the cookie thing again, right?
Yeah.
And there's just like little things like that it's just like I don't know, man. I really want it to be good, but I feel like a lot of shows, like you said, I totally agree, just need to know when to end. It's
Mm.
kind of the reason why I don't watch them, but like I know with like Korean dramas, because I know a lot of my friends they watch them. There's some
Mhm.
Korean dramas that only go for like 15 episodes and then they're done. Like it's very,
It makes a lot.
it makes a
No,
lot
go
of
ahead.
sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It makes a lot of sense. Like you have a story, you get in, you get out, and that's the end of the story. Like it's adding extra episodes doesn't look good if all you're doing is just kind of like dragging it out, putting in filler episodes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of like anime shows would do a run like that. They would do like one season or two seasons. They tell the story, and when the arc is over, that's it.
Hmm.
There's no beginning of a new arc. That's like you've told the story you want to tell, and that's it.
Yeah. I feel like that happened. Did you ever watch Man in the High Castle?
No, but I want to.
Okay, so I mean, like the general story, but it's based on a book. But in the book's kind of written like a history book ish, and it's if what if the Nazis had won World War II, right? And so for
Hmm.
that show, it's pretty good, but it's like that should have probably stayed one season. It's going on to like three seasons. I feel the same way.
Hmm.
I just recently like 2.5 times speed all of Dexter recently. And that show should have been like maybe one season, maybe two. Like I feel like have you watched Dexter?
Yeah, I've seen like 5 seasons of it.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like after like the second or third season, it got really repetitive. It was like, okay, there's a
Yeah.
new main arc villain guy who they don't know, but he's challenging Dexter You know what I mean? He's the new mass murderer of this place in Florida, which, by the way, never live in that town because there's a mass murderer apparently every like 4 months, serial killer in this town every 4 months, and then also somebody close to Dexter might turn bad against him or find out that he's this person. Like I felt like if they left it at like 1 or 2 seasons, great show, but then it kept going, and I don't
Yeah.
understand why it kept going.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like I think the only show in recent memory that I can think of that ended well, that ended good, because most series finales suck, was Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there.
4 seasons and then it ended. Did I like the ending? It was okay. It wasn't the greatest, but I prefer it over like some of these shows that went like 10 seasons or something, and then they just suck. Their endings just blow. That's the only show I can think of that ended good with a series finale in recent memory.
Yeah, and I think what it is, it came down to the audience knowing and understanding that was going to be the outcome.
Right.
Like everything that they did up until that point was leading to that conclusion. And as long as you keep handing out these little clues and saying to the audience, like, hey, this is what's going to happen, there really is no other choice. You kind of prepare them for that, and they become satisfied when they do actually see that ending.
Right, exactly.
And it was just a satisfying conclusion to that story, because Walter, he achieved what he wanted. He completed his arc. All these other characters completed their arcs,
right,
for better or for worse, and it was just a satisfying end. Like, you got the conclusion to everything. All these knots were tied, and that was it.
I think like the thing that I liked about it too as well was the fact that it also did what I like about shows. Like there's certain things that were never answered in the show and probably will never be answered, which I think is perfectly fine. You know what I mean? Like we don't really get an ending of like even his son. Like I don't think his like Walter White's son shows up for like the last like 2 to 3 episodes. Like you're like, wait, what happened to him? You know what I mean? You don't really get an ending, like a true ending with Skylar. It was like basically like she's living in an apartment by herself and she's like, leave me alone. Like, did she ever find happiness again? You never really find anything from like Hank's wife. Like what happened to her? Like there's a lot of like little things that they could have fleshed out, but they chose not to, and I think that's great. Also I think like the big thing that some fans were mad about, but that I actually liked, we never really got like a full-fledged story about what gray matter was and how exactly they screwed Walter White out. There's hints, and obviously it's kind of obvious if you piece clues together, but I like how they don't just like, because one of my problems with movies nowadays is that like having a daughter, I go to the movies a lot lately, and I don't like how in these movies I'll be watching a movie and I'm like, wow, how are they going to beat this guy? Or like, wow, why is this villain a bad person? And then literally like maybe 2 to 3 minutes later, they literally tell you verbatim why the guy is why he is. Like they literally say why, or literally tell you how they are going to beat him. And I don't like that in movies. I like to be shown, not told. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially in like a visual medium. Like I don't understand why TV shows are doing this anymore. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, okay, sure, you can pack a lot more story when you tell the story, like when you literally just read it out. But like it takes away from the medium because you're not using it to your advantage. That's the whole point of a visual medium. Otherwise, you just put out a book. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, but it is also a lot harder to do. There's that. If you want to show something visually, you have to put in a lot more time, thought, and effort into actually doing it. But I totally agree with you. I really think that you need to show what this history is and not tell. Like it's great that they hand out little hints in, like, say, Breaking Bad. You're like, okay, gray matter was this, like that, and you get little hints of it from dialogue or certain scenes or things like that. I think that's the perfect way to do it.
Right. But yeah, I don't know, man. Well, I will talk about it next week on No Content for sure, because I'm gonna watch Black Mirror no matter what. There's usually here's the thing is at least with that show, I give it a little bit more grace because, like I said, each episode doesn't bleed into the next, so you can treat each individual episode as its own thing, which I really like. You know what I mean? So you can't. So it's really hard to say, man, this season of Black Mirror sucked. Like it's kind of hard to say that every season, at least for me, has a couple of episodes that I'm like, that was really, really cool. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And at least they didn't
Mhm.
affect these other episodes, you know? So we'll
Sure,
see
yeah.
how it is. If you guys haven't also, Black Mirror's been doing this for the past couple of seasons. They have standalone episodes, which they call their Christmas specials, but it's really just like the in between seasons. And I would highly recommend you guys to go watch or go. It's kind of weird to say because it's watch and play Bandersnatch on Netflix. Highly recommended if you guys haven't already. Have you played it or watched it, Pixel?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I really
It's,
enjoyed it. So
it's really interesting. Like, when I first saw it, I was like, "Wait, this is Netflix?
yeah,
Like, what?"
yeah,
Like, they're moving into this sort of, like, weird gamification of shows or their TV shows.
hmm
There's still, like, an illusion of choice going on, like, sometimes your choices lead to like, just an end, and it takes you back into the previous choice and makes you choose again. So,
I think that's like kind of the point, and I not to spoil it, but I think that's kind of the point. I think even those endings kind of make a point in the whole over
mm,
arcness of what Bandersnatch is supposed to accomplish, you know.
sure, yeah.
But
It's a
yeah,
cool experiment. I
definitely.
I kinda I like it when companies take little risks like that
hmm
because it opens up all sorts of possibilities with what it could be.
Right.
So,
Have
I
you
think
checked out, by the way, Bear Grylls' new show on there on Netflix by any chance?
it's a new show. I
Yeah,
didn't
so
see this
Bear
one.
Grylls has his own. He's the guy that's like he fights in the wilderness, right?
Yeah,
Like
and,
tries to
also
survive.
drinks a certain liquid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they did. Bear Grylls did the same thing. It's interactive.
Oh, really?
Bear
That's
Grylls.
cool.
Yeah. So I haven't checked it out yet, but apparently Bear Grylls, it's like living in the wild or something like that. I forgot what it is, but like you're supposed to try to like survive with like Bear Grylls in the wild. It's obviously more staged, right? But I mean, like I
Hmm.
guess you can get them hurt or whatever, but I don't really know how it works because I don't know. You know what I mean? The
Mhm.
thing with him that I always feel bad about with Bear Grylls is I never feel bad for that dude, right? The dude I always feel bad for is his cameraman. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like whenever he brings a cameraman, like they never give that homie any credit. You know what I mean? But that dude like slinging through it with them. You know what I mean? And that
Right,
guy's like,
right.
crap. What did I sign up for again?
Yeah, right. Like, there's a lot. Well, see, like, the cameraman gets to, like, take sandwiches and snacks with him, and Bear Grylls
Does
has
he
to eat
though?
slugs
Does
and
he though?
I'm sure the cameraman gets, like, all sorts of, like, actual food.
Really? You would think so? I would
Yeah,
assume he's
yeah,
not. Bear's like, nah, dog.
I
You gotta sling
don't
this out with me, homie.
I don't know, maybe there's some cameraman there like, "Yeah, you know what? I could do that too. Give me that grub."
And just eats it and deals with it or
Just
whatever.
eats it. Yeah, exactly. Like, they're probably like, having a competition to see who can eat that like as many bugs as the other.
Yeah,
But
right.
I'm pretty sure like okay, so there's probably like cameraman, there's Bear Grylls, and there's maybe like a producer
Mm-hmm.
with them at any given time, and they probably have like actual food.
Yeah, you might be right. Who was the other guy that was like there was Bear Grylls and then there was like some other dude. Remember? Who also did survival stuff. And they were kind of like competing against each other. Do you remember this? Or
Oh yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
I don't
He
remember the
was
dude's name. If it comes back to you, let me know.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, just let me know if that comes back to you. Speaking of things that are lost and forgotten, though, Artifact came back on Twitch briefly last week that we never talked about. This dead
Yeah.
Omega lol type of game. This was a topic that we were actually going to cover last week, but we went really long last week because we actually talked about the Phase Banks and Tifu thing was last week, which we
Mhm.
don't actually have any updates about. But kind of wanted to talk briefly about this article or just what happened, and we kind of have some Kotaku stuff and some other articles, I guess, that we can kind of loosely basing off of, what it has to do or whatever. But yeah, do you wanna kind of take this article or topic, Pixel, or do you want me to kind of
The the one about
internet
Artifact?
internet? Yeah, like what happened basically.
Well, I mean, without naming names, there's a certain streamer who has a meme in their community, and it was basically like checking to see how Artifact was doing every day. You just
hmm
check in, see like how it's doing. You're like, oh, lol, it's only got 4 viewers. Next day, lol, it's got 5 viewers. And
Right.
so they kept checking in every now and then. And one day, one of his viewers started up an artifact stream with just some memes on his stream, and it drew his attention, like because it was just like this flashy, really like large card with like white and red text and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Saw that and he was like, "Oh my god!" And so it all started because one of his viewers wanted to grab the streamer's attention, and then suddenly everybody started doing it.
Also, the stream was literally, after a while, it was literally just zooming in on the streamer's forehead while he was streaming live. That's all the stream was, by the way. Just a
Yeah,
side note on that.
yeah. It's like some of them were just like restreams of like his own stream. It was just hilarious. And so all the artifact category just completely flooded with these memes essentially. And like
Mm-hmm.
a good like 80% of them were probably like
Yeah, there was
over
like
and over
100
again.
IAL bots. There was people just working. There was people
Yeah.
restreaming movies, anime,
Yeah.
NSFW type of stuff.
Oh yeah, like people were just using this for anything and everything. It was just nuts. Like Artifact became like this meme, like, and it was the most popular it's ever been for like the past year or so.
Yeah, it literally hit its second highest peak ever. Just not with no
Yeah.
one playing Artifact, except two to three people, bless their souls, were actually playing Artifact.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was amazing. I'm like actually looking at the artifact category right now, and none of them are playing artifact.
Yeah, so right now, essentially, like, people were even restreaming like movies and stuff like that,
Yeah.
as well. I think also kind of what took off with the artifact like movie thing, from what I understand, but this could be wrong, was that like a streamer was actually trying to play artifact, but the queues were taking so long because the game has roughly about 160 people playing it. If you guys didn't know, a few months ago, Artifact basically said they're going to halt any type of hot fixes or expansions to the game until they
Mhm.
rework it. Then, like a couple of months later, with no word from the Twitter, social media, anyone, they announced, Valve announced that they were actually going to come out with their own version of Auto Chess, which a lot of people are like, okay, so Artifact's officially dead now.
Mhm.
But this guy was like, his stream title was "Watching Avengers Infinity Wars while waiting in queue for a game," and this streamer who kind of blew this up apparently went back and checked on it or something like that, and after the movie was done, the guy still wasn't in a game. So
Oh my
a
god.
meme developed from that where people were like literally just watching movies in the artifact section, like full screened, but then their titles would be like watching, Inception, watching whatever, Desperate Housewives, watching Naruto, waiting for a
Yeah.
artifact queue to pop. So Twitch was pretty heavy to, I think it was weird. Like, I felt like Twitch allowed it, and then they didn't allow it, and then they allowed it. Like, it was very weird.
Yeah.
Like, some streams
It
were getting
was
shut down, some were not. Obviously, the NSFW ones were getting shut down pretty
sure.
quickly, but a lot of them stayed up for a while, I feel like.
It's probably because of like the reporting and stuff like that. Probably just didn't know. I mean,
Right.
I'm like, kind of positive about it, like trying to stay positive.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, eventually it got to the point where Twitch actually cracked down on it like really hard.
Right.
And I think they put out this notice saying that new accounts cannot stream, and I think it was due to Artifact
Yeah.
and
Oh,
all
yeah.
of these like meme streams and stuff like that. So they
Yeah.
implemented that, and they implemented two-factor authentication for all new accounts because of it.
No. It's if you're streaming. You can make a
If
new
you're streaming.
if you can make a new account still without two-factor authentication, but if you do stream from now on, you need to have two-factor on.
Okay.
Which I think is okay. I don't find that a big deal, to be honest. I feel like more companies should be doing that anyway. And when you hit
Mhm.
affiliate status anyway, they force you to put on two-factor authentication anyway.
That's fair. I mean, two-factor, I think everybody needs to have that on anyway. So I'm not
Yeah.
too mad about it or anything like that.
Mhm.
But I think it's still like I think it was a reaction to what happened in Artifact.
Yeah, and also I want
Um,
to say that we didn't see this happen until like Kotaku and Polygon and a couple other big like mainstream video game websites like wrote articles about this.
yeah.
Their articles were like maybe 2 to 3 days late, I want to say, from when this actually started, and then like the next day I felt like, or like maybe even less, like 12 hours later, like Twitch was like doing something about it. I think this kind of shows too that like as Twitch gets bigger, like it's gonna be hard to crack down on a lot of this stuff. And you know what I mean? The thing with like YouTube is they have such a solid algorithm out there to where, and also it's like an uploaded video. So it's very obvious what's happening, but it's very hard, I feel like, sometimes to catch. Like live streams probably are a different beast when it comes to like automated like flagging or moderation, right? On like Twitch's end, or if they even have that infrastructure in place or whatever. You know what I mean? To where this stuff can happen.
I mean, for music, it actually technically is possible to, just basically see if they have copyrighted music on the stream and somehow like mute it live. I think that actually is technically possible, but like it's very expensive to do.
Yeah, and then also if it's still video there, it doesn't really matter depending on like what type of NSFW material it is. Like people are still, so
NSFW stuff is like hard to capture.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where if this was done, if this like meme was in the Hearthstone section or Fortnite section or any section that had above like, because remember guys, like before this artifact was at like 5 viewers. It was the bottom rung, one of the bottom rung games on Twitch, right? If this was done in like a bigger section, this would have been shut down like pretty fast.
Oh, absolutely.
But I feel like because it was done in a smaller section, it relied on like people actually having to report the stream.
Yeah.
And that's what took so long for them to respond to it or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And so it went under the radar for days.
Yeah, I think also I will say I don't know if it was only Artifact. To be fair, there were some issues before this, according to Livestream Fails and a couple of other places. There were articles coming out around the same time saying how people were basically like going into the just chatting section and just restreaming like NSFW material there as a meme, quote unquote, and like view botting it or like boosting the viewership on it so that it would be on like the front page of like just chatting. So I feel like it was probably also a knock to like stop that type of stuff from happening. I'm sure there's ways to get around 2-factor authentication though, but yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, man, I miss old Twitch. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's fine or whatever. I mean, I get it or whatever. It's whatever. I think the funny thing though is still that kind of like you were saying. I'm currently in the artifact section right now live, and there is still 60 viewers in here at least, and none of them are playing artifact. All of them are miscategorized in their games. One guy's some people playing League or Minecraft or whatever. And it's just kind of funny that, even now, and we kind of talked about this on Deep Thoughts like a long time ago, like it doesn't really matter how many times they split up a category. It doesn't matter that they split up IRL into 50 million sections or whatever. When everyone's just going to be in just chatting, or everyone's just going to be in like 1 to 2 categories anyway. So why does it really matter if these things are like split up anyway, right? So I don't know. I feel like Twitch kind of I think that might be, in my opinion, the next like battle that Twitch does. We'll have to see. But I wouldn't be surprised if like in the next like year or so we do see like Twitch coming down on maybe people miscategorizing.
It might be possible. I don't know.
Here's the thing, man. Advertisers are very powerful. I think with Twitch pushing more advertisements, into the scene or whatever, miscategorization might be a thing that they actually like take upon them. You know what I mean?
Because it's really possible.
Because say like somebody is in League of Legends or something, playing League of Legends, but they're in the Fortnite section, or they're in like a smaller section or whatever, right? And that metadata is obviously being pushed to advertisers who are going to then say, oh, this person's streaming this type of game. Let's push these type of ads because my client wants these type of ads. Wait, they're not actually playing that game. So they're advertising their game in a wrong channel. We're advertising our ads to the wrong type of viewership. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's like, showing computer technology to someone who's streaming cooking or something like that.
Right.
Instead of actual like food related ads.
Right. Or, just like people playing video games and, they're in the cooking section for whatever reason. I can totally see that. Also, side note, why the heck, Twitch, did you inject ads into our VODs? I'm so angry about that. Have you noticed this? I watch a lot of VODs on mobile nowadays, and I'm pissed because literally every 20 minutes I am getting an ad on the VOD.
I haven't seen this yet.
And on mobile at least. And I know for a fact that they did not run ads in their streams. These are like streamers that like I watch that like I know for a fact do not run ads.
Okay. I think that part of that is like Twitch pushing the mobile platform as like the platform of choice for like any kind of consumption, any like VODs, streams, anything like that, because it's so much better at delivering ads.
Yeah, because there's no
it
ad
cannot
block.
be blocked.
Yeah, exactly. It pisses me off, dude.
You have to go into the Twitch app, and Twitch obviously controls every avenue of that, so you can't like block ads and anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they're going to push that platform as much as possible. And so I totally believe it. If they're injecting ads like into the middle of VOD, yeah, I totally believe it.
And the reason why I know this is because I rewatched my own VODs to see if they were doing it to me, and they did it to me, and I don't have the option to run ads. So apparently we're getting ads ran on my VODs too when we record these podcasts or stream them, which I think is ridiculous. Every 15 to 20, literally every 10, it was either 10, 15, or 20 minutes. And it even worked like YouTube, where if I scrubbed past the 10-minute mark or whatever on the VOD, it would sometimes play an ad because I skipped that like trigger or whatever. Like, what the heck? And I don't think I would get much money, but still, it's kind of dumb that it says you are supporting Twitch. At least give me some of that when you're injecting ads onto my VODs. I don't know. I'm going to get banned probably after this, but whatever. It just, I know I would get literally cents, but it would make the wound sting a little bit.
Right.
Just a little bit if I was able to at least control the ads on my own stream.
Sure.
Or at least, if you're going to inject them, at least throw me 5 bits or something. Like, at least that, so I can give it to some other streamer. Or some type of current. Like, I would not even give me the 5 cents in my PayPal. Literally say, like, okay, we're injecting ads on your thing. We will give you bits into your account for the ads that are watched. And then give you an ad button that you can run for PayPal money. I don't even care. It's dumb.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
You know what? Hell, I will take a single bit if I have to watch an ad. A single one.
Yeah, why not,
Not even
man?
5.
Yeah, me and Pixel will split the bit on our own VODs,
half
dude.
A triangle.
My VOD numbers are feeling pretty weak right now because of I think because of that, to be honest.
Man.
That's really crazy. Here's the thing, even highlights, dude. So here's the thing. If you guys didn't know, we highlight the VOD every single time. So that we highlight the VOD of our episode of what we recorded. We then take those take those highlights and then we upload them to YouTube, and that's also where we rip the audio from. So there is a select amount of people on our Twitch who do watch the highlights. I can even like throw up the analytics right now. 90 views, 60 views. We had 60 views on the last episode or whatever. Those numbers are going down because even in highlights, they're throwing up ads. Like, why, Twitch? I don't understand why.
And man, like I think it's gonna keep going. Like, when are we gonna start seeing ads and clips?
And it's weird too, because like at least on YouTube, I need to say, okay, put ads on this video. Regardless if I'm making money off of them or not, right? At least I have to say that. I don't know anywhere where I agreed to this, so it's kind of lame. I don't know. I don't like it, man. But yeah, I agree with you. There might be ads on clips before or after, like 5-second ad, 10-second ad or something like that. End of it. I don't know. I could totally see that.
It'll probably be in the beginning, honestly.
Yeah, and that's a lot of if you think about it, some of my clips, even my clips that I've clipped from like other streamers, tons of views. So I could totally see them being like, that's a lot of missed revenue or whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like if they don't put ads like before a video, they'll put it as like little tiny pop-ups or banners or something like that in the video.
Yeah, totally. Like, so I have probably 200,000, 300,000 views on all the clips that I've clipped of channels. Like, just kind of gracing over like my clips right now of like how many I have, right? That's a lot of missed revenue for them. Could be.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then times that by how many people clip every day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is going to be like the next battleground. I think is going to be like putting ads into clips
for sure.
And just where else can they put it? Like they had that goal to increase their ad revenue by X amount, whatever that number was.
It was 1.5 times. I remember
1.5 times.
That's a lot. Oh, year over year.
Year over year. That's insane. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So
So like, yeah, like there's only so many places that you can place ads, and clips are probably going to be the next thing. And I'm looking at the rest of Twitch like, okay, where else can they put them? They've already got banner ads, they've already got sidebars, they've
yeah.
got injected ads. Like, I don't know, like what's next? Just like, oh yeah, like sponsored streams. Those are pretty much ads.
Yeah, I mean with the
Um,
bounties for sure, yeah.
yeah, like it's. I mean, we're gonna start seeing a lot of it. Like whether it's like overt or just like kind of under the radar, we're gonna see a lot more coming.
Yeah, and like I said, Twitch, like if at least give affiliates, like I probably would never use it. I'd probably test it just for laughs to see like how much we would make or whatever projected, but I mean like
Mhm.
at least give affiliates at this point like an ad button, or if you don't give them an ad button, at least give affiliates the ability to make some type of small revenue cut, even if it comes in the form of bits, even if it comes in the form of pennies or dimes to like their VODs or their highlights, because at this point there's a lot of affiliates that are like pretty big. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
200 viewers, 300 viewers. I mean, we average sometimes on this show when we're recording or streaming, 70. We've seen sometimes 100 people in here. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I just feel like kind of like gimped a little bit when it comes to like I didn't ask for these ads to be on these VODs or these highlights at all. I didn't check a box that said, yeah, sure, you can do this. It's just part of your terms of service now when I stream on here, which is kind of that's fair. It's your platform, but it does kind of suck. It does sting a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't see it changing for the better,
No,
like at
I
least
think it'll
for
get worse.
viewers. Yeah. And you know what? That Twitch Turbo thing is slightly looking better now.
Oh yeah, it's it's something that I don't know. I might. How much is it? It's like $9, right?
Yeah, it's like $8 or $9 a month.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I agree with you, man. It's getting a lot more appealing for sure for me.
Yeah. Because
Um,
like
yeah.
that's not the only thing you get with Twitch Turbo, right?
I mean, it's pretty much the only thing you get with Twitch Turbo.
Hmm. Ad-free viewing with limited exceptions. So you still get ads in some cases.
I don't know what that limited exceptions is. I had it for 2 years and I never saw limited exceptions, so I don't really know what that means.
Hmm,
Ad-free
okay.
viewing, you get a chat badge to brag that you
Yeah.
have it. Expanded
It's a
emote set.
battery, whatever.
Expanded emote set just means you can choose like between like 4 different types of the default like smiley faces. Custom
Yeah.
chat username colors is the same thing that you get if you had Amazon Prime. And then expanded broadcast storage makes it so it bumps up from I believe 14 days to 60 days,
Ah, okay.
which once
Mm.
again, I don't really care about. We highlight anything on this channel that we care about. So highlights
Hmm.
will never go away. Not many people watch past VODs anyway, at least on here.
Sure. Yeah, it's $9 a month. Like, yeah, the ad-free viewing is the big one.
I mean, the thing is
So
that's 2 subs.
that is 2 subs. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're basically
So
paying for like 2 subs on a channel.
yeah, and you know what? Those 2 subs, if they're for channels that you already watch, then you can sub to those channels and get ad-free viewing anyway.
Yeah.
So why not support the streamer instead?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I want to do that, but then at the same time, like, there are times at night or whenever when the streamer that I am sub to isn't on, I do
Hmm.
like to like quote unquote, I guess like channel surf. You know what I mean? I'll go through my
Hmm.
follower list and like see people, and it is disheartening when it's like I get into it, it's like, oh, 30-second ad, cool.
Yeah.
And then I stay there for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then I switch to another one on mobile, and it's another ad because I think the timer is like 10 minutes or something like that.
Oh,
For
is
the
it?
on
Huh.
the ads on mobile or whatever. So it's
Mm.
not like you'll instantly get an ad, but it is kind of annoying to be
Yeah.
like to be like or I even had this experience recently where it was like on mobile, and one of the streamers was like, okay, we're gonna go host and raid this person. I'll talk to you guys later. Ad, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Oh,
It's
oh,
so
oh, oh.
disheartening.
Okay, cool. I'm out.
Yeah, like you know what? It hurts discoverability because I don't want to stick around and watch an ad and just wait for this other stream to come around. Like, no, I'm gonna go watch something where I don't have to, watch an ad. I'm subbed to a
Exactly.
few other channels, so
Right.
like, I'm just gonna go there instead.
Right. You know,
Um,
But I think getting off on, I don't know, closing thoughts, because I don't know, I feel like we can go on forever about this, and we're
Yeah.
literally just going to go in a circle of complaining, which we probably already have, but screw it,
We
it's our
already are.
podcast, my podcast, our podcast, whatever. Yeah. Closing thoughts, Pixel, on this topic at least.
You know what? At the end of the day, you know, I have to put up with it, and unfortunately, like, it hurts discoverability to the point where I just don't look at new streams anymore. I just stick to the ones that I know and am, you know, really a part of. And so, like, I'm just staying there, and I don't venture outside of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely gotten a lot of my friends who watch Twitch, like yourself, like some of my other friends. We'd rather just like message each other on Discord the play-by-play of what's happening, rather than be like, "Hey, come on by the stream."
Oh, gee,
Honestly,
that's really bad.
you know what I mean. So, I do want to say though that I guess we can just briefly mention it because it's kind of part of the same topic before we move on to the real last topic that I kind of wanted to talk about, because I've been playing a game and I don't know, I just beat it and I'm really excited. But YouTube restricted their age limit now. Well, kind of with streaming. They said that anyone that's younger than 13 needs to
Mhm.
have a parent present on the stream within visibility for them to be allowed to stream anymore, which has caused a lot of
Mhm.
controversy with a lot of YouTube channels. This only goes for streaming for now, apparently. We're not really sure how this affects, YouTube content creators with, making
Yeah.
videos or whatever. But I know
Mhm.
I know there's been a lot of outcry already. There's a lot of Fortnite streamers, video game streamers in general that I know have created channels on YouTube to live stream there because they weren't allowed to live stream on Twitch.
Mm.
And so I've
Yeah.
seen that or whatever. I know like most recently there's a Fortnite streamer. He got this kid who was duoing, and the kid was I think 10 or 11, and they sent him a computer, and his parents have been in contact with the streamer, so they all know each other. It's cool. They understand the situation and stuff. And this kid started streaming on YouTube. His YouTube now has like 500,000 subs. Which is pretty
Wow.
amazing. And yeah, boom, he tweeted out, or somebody on his account tweeted out, like that he's not allowed to stream anymore unless his
Yeah, it
parents are
really
there.
sucks.
And the thing is, he doesn't have a cam on or anything, but just because of the age restriction, he's not allowed to anymore, which I think is like, I don't know, kind of disheartening. But on the flip
Yeah.
side, I do understand why this
Yeah,
stuff is
yeah.
happening.
Yeah, YouTube has to cover their ass, and unfortunately, I don't know if there was anything like specific that caused YouTube to make this decision, but it really
There,
sucks. And
there,
you know
there
what? Maybe
is.
move back to Twitch.
Yeah, there is, and I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of what it is. I mean, I'll definitely let. Do you know what it is, or you have no idea?
I don't know.
I can tell you off stream, but I'll let. But I will say this: there has been couple of exposure videos over the last month or so that have shown that there's a lot of, let's just say, I don't want to get like demonetized or like get in trouble. That's why I'm trying to word this correctly. There's a lot of weird people out there that specifically watch videos of younger people, whether it be on stream or in video content, doing things that are totally normal,
Uh-huh.
who have gone in trouble, and the algorithms kind of screwed up, if that makes sense.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's been happening a lot recently on YouTube, where people are uploading dance recitals or them singing, and it's just the kid themselves, or they're live streaming it by themselves. And there's a lot of like creeps and weirdos out there that are like kind of taking
Mm,
advantage of that. And someone showed how by making a new YouTube account. So if you guys didn't know, your YouTube account, whether you know it or not, or whether you opt into it or not, is saving every single video you click on, and it's kind of creating its own profile. Think of it like Pandora. When you liked a song on Pandora and injected that song into the playlist, you would get more songs that were kind of like that. It would kind of make a spider web effect, right, with that
mhm.
Pandora playlist. That's why sometimes you'll start a Pandora playlist, set, let's say Martin Garrix. By the end of a week or two, there's no Martin Garrix in it, right? Because it's kind of just like spider webbed or platformed off of that. Basically, someone showed how with like a new YouTube account, it was very easy to find these videos by just clicking like 3 recommended videos. And then
Jeez.
the only videos that would show up on your recommended, right, or in your autoplay, were these type of videos. Very innocent videos, very good videos. They're allowed to be on YouTube, etc., but they were of like younger people. So I think that was the reason why Twitch kind of stepped in. And then also it would, because of that feature, it would always show recommended live streams of a younger audience. So I think that was the reason why they kind of cracked down on this, which I get.
I see. Okay, that makes a lot of sense then.
But it is kind of disheartening that YouTube has gotten so big, and it has been big for so long, that this type of stuff, like, it's just, you can't case by case basis this. It really sucks.
Yeah, they probably had a lot of pressure to step in and take control of this, and it's something, I guess, that had to be done.
Right.
And there's a lot of innocent bystanders that have been affected, so they're going to have to adjust or find another platform.
Right. So I don't know where those platforms may be. There's a couple of platforms out there that are pretty well known for like non-censorship, which can be a mixed bag as well. So anyway, kind of going on to a more happier topic. In the last like 24 hours, have relived my childhood. I'm super happy, and if you guys know about this game, please send an email to us, because Pixel doesn't know this game and has never played it, and I'm really sad.
Are you gonna call me out like this?
I am gonna call you out like that. I beat Super Mario RPG again, and oh man, dude, Pixel, I'm telling you, you gotta play this game. It is one of my favorite games. It is one of my favorite games of all time.
Well, okay, do they have like a remake of it on like Switch or something?
Yes, so there's remakes on like virtual consoles and stuff like that as well. That you can get it from. It's so fun. It's so, just a little history about this. It's the end of the Super Nintendo era. This the second generation of consoles is going to come out, right? PlayStation 1's kind of on the rise, and like Sega's coming out with this like new console, and Square Enix is still in bed with Nintendo, right? They came out with Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3 on the Super Nintendo, right? And they decide to do a collaboration that a lot of people freak out about at the time. Basically, in my opinion, and it's not even in my opinion, Square Enix confirmed this. This was kind of like my generation's Kingdom Hearts, right? Where we had Kingdom Hearts kind of collaborating with Disney and kind of merging these two games formulas together. It's like, what the crap? How does this work? And it does. They did the same thing with this, but it was with Nintendo and Square Enix. And they made this game called Super Mario RPG. Really, it's just a really fun game. It's turn-based. It's a traditional JRPG, but it's simpler than that. There are only attack, defense, mana, magic attack, magic defense, and then health. So there's no speed. So even just a randomization of just like which character attacks first is totally random every turn, which I kind of like. There's also little quick time events. If you can time your attack correctly, whether that be a magic spell or an attack spell, you do like a bonus damage, as well as you defend at any point because of this. So if your opponent attacks and you time the attack right, the end of the attack right, you can actually defend from it and actually take less damage.
Interesting.
It's really fun. It also a couple of other things that have to do with the game. It's very simple on like the grinding in the game or whatever. I think max level is 30. I beat the game at like 27, 28 without ever like, and that was me just playing through the game, killing every mob, just kind of going through the game. If you rush through it, there's obviously like little things that you can do to kind of get boosts or get help, but it's more of like you don't have to grind in the game. You just need to play smart and you should be fine, which I really enjoyed too as well. It took me about 12 hours to beat, so it's a pretty short game. I think the thing that's really unique about it is that you fight in kind of like, it's Super Nintendo, so it's 16-bit, so it's kind of 3D-ish, but it was on the verge or cusp of being 3D. There's a lot of 3D platforming as well, which you wouldn't expect on the Super Nintendo. But there's a lot of like going into a dungeon and actually having to like platform over certain things or certain obstacles. Your character's
a mix of like a whole bunch of different genres.
Yeah, it's actually really unique, and I really like it. Also, side note, it's one of the first games where Bowser wasn't the main boss. Bowser actually joins your team as a bruiser tank character. So you actually play as Bowser. You can have 5 party members: Mario, Bowser, Peach is in it as a healer, And then you have two
Huh.
characters that are unique to this series that unfortunately are owned by Square Enix, so you've never seen them in any other Super Mario game ever. Gino,
Hmm.
who is a like kind of a Pinocchio with a gun, and a
What?
character named Mello, who is a cloud, like a cloud person. He's like a Nimbus cloud type of person. And he does like
You weren't
electric attacks, snow attacks. He can like change the weather and stuff like that. It's really cool. I know.
you weren't kidding when you said like this was like your generation's Kingdom
Yeah,
Hearts.
it's so good. It's just so fun. The comedy in the game is really good, even though it's like probably geared towards little kids. It's very nostalgic for me or whatever. People making fun of
Hmm.
Mario, all this type of stuff. There's a lot of inside jokes and just throwbacks to like earlier games or whatever. People making
Yeah.
fun of Mario because he's not like flat chested because he's not 2D anymore because he's 3D, like just little funny things like that. And I think it's like came from a time when like gaming was a little less like PC, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like a little less like politically correct. And I love that about it. There's even just like one of the strongest items that you can get in the game with Bowser because there is equipment management. Once again, very
Mhm.
light. I think every character has about 8 weapons they can get, and obviously they progressively get better, so it's very obvious what to get. But one of like the
Mhm.
best weapons for Bowser is called the Hurl Gloves, where he literally just grabs Mario while he's playing, and like while you're playing him, he just literally just grabs Mario and throws him at the enemy. And if you time the attack right, he grabs him by the pants again and throws it at him. And then while Mario is
Oh,
being
that's funny.
thrown, a little like miniature paper mache Mario stands in his place, like where he's supposed to be standing. Just like really fun things like that. Or if Mario's frozen or out of combat, he throws the doll instead of Mario, and it does less damage.
Oh, that's funny.
Just things like that, or whatever. There's little small interactions. For example, if Bowser comes in contact with Goombas or Koopa Troopers or anything, they'll automatically there's a 50% chance of them running away
Hmm.
because they recognize their boss, so they don't want to fight
Mhm.
him. Um,
That's
things like
actually
that.
kinda cool. It's
It's
like
it's a
little strategy
Yeah,
into it.
it's a really good game. I highlight There's little Easter eggs and little fun things in there as well. One of the things that I really liked that I found out as a kid just from boredom, which really brings me back, is that after you beat these bosses later in the game, they actually travel back to previous places in the game. Now, there's no back traveling in this game. You never have to go
Mhm.
back to an older town. There's really no point to. But if you do, you're rewarded with that, which I really like.
Mm.
So, kind of as a kid, I back traveled to this town and I found one of the old bosses, and he plays this juggling game with you, like guess which hand the yellow ball is in. Uh,
Mhm.
After guessing like maybe 50 times, he'll give you this like casino card. And then you take this casino card and can enter like a tunnel that's like way later in the game that you don't think is accessible, and you get to go to a casino where you actually get to play blackjack and stuff for items. It's just like
Hmm.
little things like that, like you would never find that out on your own.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless
No,
you're a dedicated fan or whatever. And I don't know, I really like the game.
now here's the thing. Whenever I'm playing old games, it's because I have this really huge sense of nostalgia,
Mhm.
and I'm looking at it with rose-colored glasses, but really, if
Mhm.
I look at it objectively, there's a lot of things that I would actually change, or
Right,
a lot
right,
of things that really would bug me.
right.
But is this a game like that for you? Like, is there stuff in there that you would be like, "This would never fly today"?
Yes and no. Yeah, in a way, but here's the thing. I'll say this about my gaming history, okay? I do not replay old games. To anyone who knows me for like a long period of time, I do not like replaying old games.
Mhm.
This is I've probably replayed this game like 3 times, and that's a big deal for me. And I probably won't play this game for another like 5 or 6 years. I just do not like playing old games. I feel like most games improve, or I go back to them and they suck. For example, I've only been Ocarina of Time once. Great game, love the game, can never play it again. I tried to play it again one time when it was, I believe,
Mhm.
out on GameCube or the 3DS, hated it because the mechanics and everything have not aged well. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, yes, there's a little bit of nostalgia in the game for sure, but I'm not a nostalgic gamer. So for me, that should probably say
Okay.
something about the game, is that like I actually enjoy playing the game or whatever, to where
Yeah.
I would play it. I
Okay.
would highly recommend anyone to ever that hasn't played it. It's called I think it's literally, people just call it Super Mario RPG, but I'll get the full name or whatever. I think the worst title or ever or whatever. Um It's called Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars or whatever. Um, I really like the game. They had some spiritual successors. So the spiritual successors that you guys probably heard of, they were planning to make Mario RPG 2, and then Square Enix was like, "Nah, fam, we out," and they just left. And then the game they decided to make was called Paper Mario.
I can see where they
So
got the idea from.
So Paper Mario is definitely inspired by Super Mario RPG. They also came out with 2 games on the DS called Mario and Luigi. Apparently, one of them is called Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Another one is called Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. And apparently, both of those games are also spiritual successors to Super Mario RPG.
Wow.
Yeah,
It seems like it was like the father of a lot of different games,
yeah,
like the inspiration.
and the thing is that it didn't do too well when it initially came out because it was on like it was one of the last games. It was the last first party title to be released on a Super Nintendo, I
Hmm.
believe, and one of the last games in general. So they released
Wow.
it on its way out because it took so long, like a long time to develop the game.
Mm. But it seems like it had an impact. Like it was so unique for its time that whoever played it like was like, oh man, this they had some really good ideas, and they started to branch out from that and kind of use it as a base for another game.
Yeah, for sure. And just like little things like just like there's like light platforming, there's actually like puzzle solving and stuff like that. Yeah, I would really recommend anyone to play the game. It's really fun. Whenever I talk to anyone who's played it, they've said that it's like one of their favorite games of all time, one of their favorite JRPGs
Wow,
of all time or whatever.
that's pretty amazing.
Also, one of the things that I like about the game, which I feel like a lot of JRPGs do not do anymore, but it's kind of coming back, is it doesn't work like in Pokemon or Final Fantasy, where you're just kind of walking around in an open field and then all of a sudden, boom, random encounter, and then you're
Hmm.
stuck fighting with something. The models of the enemies are actually physically on the screen, so you can actually
Hmm.
just run around them or jump over them as Mario, or hit them with the hammer and
Oh, I
stun them
love
and run
that.
around, or you can jump into it knowing what at least one of the enemies is going to be because you see its shade of color and what it is and
Hmm.
etc and stuff like that.
That's
And the
fantastic.
enemies move differently as well. So for example, there's a scene where you're in a forest and you're trying to get out and there's a bunch of those like weird like worms, you know what I'm talking about, like those
Hmm.
yellow worms or whatever they're in Mario, and they're all jumping around.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you jump on their body, they just start freaking out and going red and start like galloping all over the place. But if you hit them in the head, you jump into combat, right? Just like in
Hmm.
the original Mario games. There's like bees flying around. They'll actually chase you because they're bees. There'll be slow characters like chameleons or starfish where you have to physically touch them, but you can jump over them. It's a really good
Hmm.
game.
It's really quirky.
Yeah, it's really good. I don't know. You should check out some video footage, gaming footage of it. It's pretty good.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
Super
maybe I'll check
Mario
it out
RPG.
sometime.
It's 12
The
hours of your life that's well worth it, in my
the
opinion.
official recommendation from Ryan Kubo right here.
Hmm.
The seal of approval.
Yeah, it's the only game I've ever gone back to like multiple times. The next game that I'm gonna go back to, I think in my free time, maybe even stream it because this game is gonna take a really long time. Is Suikoden 2, which is like one of my
Mhm.
favorite JRPGs as well, which no one's ever heard of.
I've heard of it. I've just never played it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's my other game that I would say is my nostalgia trip for sure or whatever. Um
Mhm.
it came out at it came out in the same week or couple of weeks as Final Fantasy 7 in the states,
Oh
which is
man.
the reason why it did awful.
Yeah,
It
that'll do it.
This one is more of a Japanese RPG, traditional Japanese RPG in a sense, but the basically the generalized story of it is your two kids who join an army that need to fight and kill this enemy. You get betrayed by your army and then you kind of rise the ranks and get revenge and become a general. The unique thing about the game was that there's over 125 characters that can be obtained through random events. So
Mm.
so you don't just go on a side quest to go on a side quest to get more XP. You go on a side quest to a village, and you might obtain from this side quest from this random village that's not even marked on the map 3 to 4 characters that are now playable in your party.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so the
Yeah, that would
combinations
never
of
be done
characters
nowadays.
are ridiculous.
Yeah, that is crazy. Like that's unheard of today.
Yeah. So once again, number 2 is the best one in my opinion. I really enjoyed that one. I feel like a lot of players have also said like that's the best one as well. Whatever, highly recommend it. It did awful in the States, so the game sold for like a game disc sells for like $800 or something now. In mint condition or something like that. It's like one of the games that like it just did awful. And the way I got the game was because it was for PlayStation 1 and I went to Target. No, I went to Circuit City. Circuit City was my jam. And I went to Circuit City and I wanted to buy Final Fantasy 7, but it was sold out at Circuit City, as most things in Circuit City were sold out because they never had anything in stock for some reason at Circuit City. And the guy was like, "Hey, this game you should try out this game. It's actually better than Final Fantasy 7."
What?
And honestly, so here's the thing: I bought it, so I bought the game. I was 9 years old at the time, 8 or 9 years old, and I couldn't get past the intro screen because the intro screen kind of debates you with what happens. And I had never experienced a Japanese RPG like this, where I didn't understand what was going on. Where like events happen and then something happened. Like I don't want to spoil it, but stuff happens and I didn't really understand. And the reason why the game is hailed so well is because a lot of people talk about it like you're playing an anime. Right? And at the time, I didn't understand. So, for example, in an anime, usually the first pilot episode, you're just playing, you're just watching an anime, and then maybe maybe 4 to 5 minutes into the anime, then the intro music starts, right? And it shows all the credits. That's kind of how this game plays out at the start. And so for me as a kid, I didn't understand that, right? When I see end credits, it means I died, right? I lost, right? So I bought the game, I played it, my mom wouldn't return it for me, and it actually took me until I was sick, home alone one day with the flu, playing the game and passing out and falling asleep during that credits thing because I just wanted to see like the credits for some reason or listen to the music, waking up and then being like, the credits are done, but I can still play the game. And then that kind of started my addiction with that game for 33 hours. So I beat that game like all. I beat that game while I had the flu. So another game highly recommended. I'm definitely gonna replay that game probably soon.
Dude, that's pretty awesome. Like it's like these really special moments where you have these games that totally break the mold and just do things that you don't expect, and those are the ones that really stand out in your memory.
Yeah, for sure. Also, side note, I've never played Final Fantasy VII still to this day. Never had any interest from it. I never had any interest in it. I've never played it.
People are smashing their desks. They're flipping them.
I know.
Throwing poop on the wall.
I know, because all my friends were playing it. So here's the thing. All my friends in school, once again, I was about 8 or 9, so I was about 3rd or 4th grade at this time. All my friends had already played the game. So they spoiled it for me. Ooh. So I told them about my game. They told me about it. Wasn't really spoiling. Back then, like, you didn't really understand what that meant. So it's like they told me about their game. I told them about my game. Right? So I never felt a need to go buy it. And back then I had limited funds anyway.
Right.
And then by the time I could buy it, why am I going to buy a game that's like really, really old? Right? Like that was my child mindset. Sure. So I'm just waiting for the remake, the Final Fantasy VII remake. That's apparently coming eventually.
It's coming. I'm actually pretty stoked for it. You know what? I'm gonna admit too, I never finished Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
I played it, but I never finished it.
Okay. Like how close do you think you were?
I didn't even finish the first disc.
How many discs were there?
3 or 4.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, there was a lot more to go. And,
this game was only 1 disc, so. So a little bit simpler in that type of sense. Oh, the other thing I like about this game is that once you become a general, like of a base or whatever, you can start taking over other bases and then incorporating like their economy into you. But then the way you take over a base is not by turn by turn JRPG combat. You actually take them over by playing an RTS minigame.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then all your stock or inventory carries over from the last fight. So I'd have like weapons from like 2 fights ago, but they'd be all old and rusted. Because like a couple of years has passed. So then it's like, are you sure you want to go into battle with these older rusty weapons? It's like, we can make new weapons, but it's going to cost our economy this much, and then you might starve. And then I'm like, okay, let's do it. Forget it. We'll starve a little bit. And then because of that, like certain out of the 125 playable characters, some of them are like, hey man, you came to my village and said like we would never starve again. You lied to us, like screw you. And those like 4 playable characters will just leave. Like leave your party forever, like leave as playable characters forever. So like you actually make
Wow.
choices as a general, and like it has impact in like the characters that, and like I was like, no, they had all the best gear, right? So they just like
They don't
left,
have
and
much
these
here.
so you actually have like punishment and stuff, which I really liked about that game. Um,
Wow.
I guess not leaving you out of the loop. I guess briefly, or however long you want to talk about it, Pixel. But any games that came up in your mind, like while we are talking about this, that you're like, man, like those are some, like those are the nostalgia games for me. Like any kind of off the beaten
Oh
path
man.
games that you can think of. If not, we can save it for like next episode maybe. But like
I mean, there are
your,
games like that, but
mhm.
they're mainstream games. They're games that are widely and critically acclaimed,
Right,
but
and
I
there's a
have
reason for that. Yeah.
right, and they're like totally nostalgic for me. I go back every like couple years and I play it again, and I think the one that stands out the most to me is Baldur's Gate 2.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's so for anybody who doesn't know, it's a it's an RPG game, single player RPG game that is based on like D&D rules.
Hmm.
And like for its time, it was incredible. Like the storytelling, the acting, the voice acting in it, like it was like this living, breathing world, and it was very, very different than other games out there at the time. And it was just so rich with detail and story and all these little moments,
Hmm.
especially between characters in your party. Um, that like it was just astounding at the time. You really actually started to care about these characters. And for me at the time, I didn't really get that with any other games. Like there's just
Hmm.
so much in there. Like I remember just tiny little things. You have dialogues with the characters that build friendships and eventually like, become something more. And it like just felt like these were people that I had known for such a long time. You played with them, you battled with them, you've gone through hell and back with them, and it's just it it really holds like a special place for me because I remember distinctly each and every one of the characters that I played with. I remembered who they are, where they came from, what they liked and disliked, how they played, like everything about them. Like it's seared into my memory just how amazing this was.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I get that with like some games, but not many anymore, which sucks.
Yeah. And there are points in time where your characters can actually like perma die. And
Mm.
I'm like, nope, I'm not letting this happen. I'm restarting the game.
Right.
I don't care how long I have to go back. I'm restarting this.
Yeah. How many hours do you think that takes to beat?
Normal run, I'd say between like 40 and 60 hours.
It's pretty good. It
It's
was for
pretty
PC,
average.
right? At the time?
Yeah, it was a PC game.
Yeah.
Um, it was what year was it? It was like 2001, I want to say
Yeah.
2002.
I
Um,
I co-opted with a friend. Like we both made decisions. I remember this.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, man, I think the last time I felt like some type of like excitement from a video game, because I feel like nowadays, I feel like as we get older, we're just trying to capture that feeling we had as kids, right? Which I don't
Mm-hmm.
think, unfortunately, we'll ever capture again, in my opinion,
Mm-mm.
because we're adults and because like we're all about mid maxing, choosing the best character. You know what I mean? Like back then, like I didn't care what my character looked like. I didn't care if it was like a
Yeah.
this or that, or if it had bad stats. Like, oh, this person looks awesome. I'm gonna play them, or
Not
I'm
only
having
that,
fun
but
with this
like these
person.
yeah, not only that, but like these experiences were completely new to us.
Yeah,
We didn't know what like, Sequoia or Baldur's Gate was all about when we got it. Like
yeah,
you can't replicate that feeling of like just opening up a game for the first time and
right.
experiencing it for the first time.
But
Like
yeah,
yeah, you just can't get that again. Like we try to recapture things that we just can't.
right.
So
Um.
I tried to do that with Pillars of Eternity, and like I liked
Oh.
the game, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. I feel like the last time I felt that sense of like I don't know what it is, like wonderment or like oh man, this is pretty cool. was probably BioShock. Like
Okay. Yeah.
BioShock is one of my favorite video game series of all time. And
Hmm.
here's the thing with me. I hate suspense, thriller, scary games, any of that type of stuff. But I got
Hmm.
it I got it on a whim. I forgot how again, but I got it and it was like one of those games like I don't think I'm going to beat this because I hate scary
Mm.
games. I hate being jump scared. I hate horror movies. I hate it all. I just do not like that
Hmm.
type of stuff. I don't find it enjoyable. And just the first time stepping into Rapture was so cool. Like really
Yeah.
just getting in delving into that environment was amazing.
Hmm.
And maybe I don't think I even felt the same when it came to like BioShock Infinite, even though that was like a great game and I love that game as well.
Really? Huh.
Um BioShock 1, it was probably the last time I felt like that type of like, wow,
Mm.
this is really cool that like, you know what I mean? Like more than it just being like, of course I've played games since then that I'm like, this is a really fun game. This is a really cool game.
Hmm.
But just that sense of like immersion I haven't felt
Yeah.
in like since probably BioShock 1.
I actually had the opposite effect.
Really?
I actually
Okay.
felt that Bioshock Infinite was so much more immersive. And I
Hmm.
will always go back and look at that beginning sequence when you just enter. Um, what's the name of that city again? What, anyways, whatever the name of the city,
Columbia.
Columbia. That's it.
Yeah.
And when you enter it and you see like these people in robes walking, and I think they're like being baptized or something.
Oh, that was a good scene. That was yeah. No, that was
Like
good. Yeah.
when you're walking down this river and you go towards this little area and it's really dimly lit. These people are carrying candles and walking towards, I believe, like a fountain or something.
Right, and then it just kind of like
And
opens up and it like yeah, and you like
yeah,
realize that you're on the blimps and stuff like that and it kind of like
yeah,
gets more
that
brighter.
whole stretch
Yeah.
of like level, that whole design was fantastic. I love the design. I love the art direction. Like it was like a stroke of brilliance that hit all the right notes with just like discovering this whole new area, this
Mm.
immersive new world. It really brought you into this whole world, and it was amazing how um, all of the notes kind of resembled Bioshock One. If you look
Mm.
closely, if you know that rocket that takes you up into
Mm.
Columbia and
Yeah.
just kind of like hangs there, those blimps that fly by. If you look closely,
Yeah.
that closely, it almost exactly mimics Bioshock's One when you're going down and you see like the whales going by your window and everything as you're going,
Mhm.
deeper and deeper into Rapture. It was like just incredibly well done.
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, I love BioShock Infinite, but BioShock 1, man, it just has like a place in my heart. I think my issue with BioShock Infinite, and I think this was the point of the game, right? Because like we both played through it obviously, but it's
Mhm,
like I think my issue was that it felt too linear. I felt like in Rapture I could
Ye
explore a bit more and I would get lost a
mhm,
little bit more. And also it was the sense for me personally, I didn't like horror games. So for me, it was more intense to play BioShock as well. Where I was
mhm,
like, oh man, I really want to explore Rapture, but man, I really hate these type of games. So man, this is a really good game. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And just kind of like peeking around corners, kind of exploring. Like BioShock Infinite, by then, like I didn't have that feeling as well, and I felt like the game was a little
mhm,
bit more linear. So where I liked I do agree with every single point you made. For me, at least, it just felt like they were just like backdrops that I just kind of rushed
mm.
through and didn't really have to. I didn't feel a sense of exploration at all in Bioshock Infinite. It was like, oh, this is just a backdrop, or this is just kind of like a waypoint from like point A to point B. I'm just kind of rushing through it,
Sure, yeah.
you know. So,
Mhm. No, I definitely agree with that too.
but I
Like,
think that's
it's
also because of the storyline of what Bioshock Infinite is.
yeah, yeah, and I think it was just game design at that point in time. A
Hmm.
lot of games at the time just felt more linear or that it had to guide you down a specific path.
Hmm.
So it was partially, the sign of the times. And I think Bioshock One was more from an era where exploration was a little more okay.
Like it did have like a guiding system as well in BioShock where there was like an arrow, right? But the arrow didn't
Mhm.
always point you exactly where you needed to go. Whereas I felt with Infinite, there was like this I feel like there was like a trail, like a golden trail in front of you or something where it was like it tells you
Yes.
exactly where to go at all times if ever you
Yeah.
get lost. And I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, yeah. I
So.
mean, it was helpful at times, but yeah, I get what you mean. Like, you want to be able to explore and just kind of see this world for your own instead of being told. Just like, hey, full circle. We don't like being told what we you do in stories or what happens in stories.
Right.
We want to be shown.
Right. That was my thing, but the payoff was worth it. I think the marketing for BioShock Infinite was really good because I remember a lot of fans groaning and moaning because it wasn't going to be in Rapture for a third time, and people were like pissed. They're like, no, it's going to be called BioShock, but it's going to be a totally different world. It's in the sky. It's before BioShock ever happened, so like that doesn't even exist right now. So don't worry. And then it was like the ending comes, and you're like, Jabated. It's happening at the same time. You know what I mean? And there's like,
can we talk about the ending?
What do you mean? Can we talk? When did this game came out? Yes, we can talk about the game in 2013, March 26, 2013. We can talk about the ending. Yes, if you haven't played the game, too bad. All right. But yeah, it was like you just got Jabated fools. It's happening at the same time, actually. Maybe not, kind of, sort of. Like
it was yeah. It was really interesting how like there are all these parallels and you didn't realize it until you got to the very end.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah, it was a very good game.
Yeah, Elizabeth was a little sister, that big raven bird thing. I forget what it's called, but like that
Songbird
was
or something like that.
Songbird, yeah, that's like Big Daddy. Comstock was the guy who says that
Adam Ryan.
famous phrase. Yeah. So
would you kindly?
Would you kindly?
Yeah.
And so like there's all these parallels in these games. You don't realize it until the very end. It's like, oh well, yeah, it's all part of the same universe.
And then that like they confirmed it. So hopefully I'm not spoiling this for you. Well, it's not really a spoiler, but that like obviously, the main hero in like Booker was who's the guy's name, the main villain in Columbia?
Comstock?
Yeah, he was Comstock, right? And then
they're the same person.
And then they confirmed that Songbird was the same person as well, right? All three of them are the same person. All three of them were Booker.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't know this? Okay, yeah, Booker is Songbird. Why do you think he wants to protect Elizabeth so much?
Okay, I thought. Because I thought Comstock created the Songbird to protect Elizabeth. So I thought it was like purely.
I mean, creation. Yeah, but I mean, I think they confirmed that it was like he created it, right? Like he created other things like that he claims to have created. You know what I mean? Like I can see him like injecting because what is a Big Daddy, right? Like we don't really know what it is. You know what I mean? Like using that same technology and maybe injecting like an alternative Booker from like an alternative universe into Songbird, like might be a thing or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, like apparently that's a thing.
Huh. Okay.
So
I didn't know that. That's kind of neat.
Yeah. Apparently, there's hints dropped in the game that say that.
Huh.
I don't know where exactly. It's been a long time.
Yeah, that completely went over my head then.
Yeah, we need to both replay the game at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Apparently. Anyway, okay. We're cutting the podcast off now because it's been like a super long time. I feel like we've gone over like a really long time, and luckily we started this podcast earlier.
Yeah, so we're like an hour and a half or something.
Yeah, so you plebs don't complain next week when we say we don't have anything to talk about, because next week we might not have anything to talk about now at this point. Okay?
Yeah, right. Actually, no content.
Yeah, actually no content next week. But that being said, thanks guys for hanging out. Email us, nostalgia. I actually want to know this. If you guys want to, email us. The email is in the description of the episode below. So go and email us with like just your nostalgia memories if you guys have any. That's nocontentpodcast@gmail.com if you guys want to send that over to us or whatever. I want to hear like what your guys' nostalgia was, and maybe we'll just go on a nostalgia trip next week as well. But with that being said, Pixel, where can they find you?
Well, you can always find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/pixel_pusher101.
Cool. And all his VODs have advertisements, so it's great.
Yep.
You can go
90 minutes of advertisements.
It's 90 minutes of ads, basically. Go check that out. As for me, you can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, or Instagram at Ryan Kubo. You can also check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/SHIGEOS Twitch TV if you guys want to check out VODs of this podcast or any of the other podcasts. Also, kind of started doing this recently, and I think it's really helped out. Check your episode description, check your show notes, whatever it might be. Check it out below. We have links now to our other podcasts that are on this platform, some with Pixel, some without Pixel, but all the other podcasts that we do on this channel and kind of influence one another as well when we make references are down there below. So go check out the other podcasts if you like this one as well. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. We literally had no content, I said at the beginning of this, and now this is the longest episode that we've ever recorded in history. So
Crazy.
you're welcome. Anyway, guys, peace out. We'll see you next week. Later.
All right, see you guys.